Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to crack open the game designer's playbook. We're not just looking at what makes games fun, but how that exact same way of thinking can be a seriously powerful tool for learning and, for solving real-world problems.
All right, let's just jump right in with a simple thought experiment. I want you to picture a bunch of kids just running around a field, totally unstructured. Got it? Okay, now picture a race. What's the one thing, the fundamental difference that separates those two activities? That difference, whatever you just thought of, is the absolute bedrock of game design. So let's break down the anatomy of a game and see what it takes to turn simple, chaotic play into something structured and really, really compelling. It's all about the goal. I mean, the second one of those kids yells, "Hey, let's race to that big tree over there." Everything changes. Bam! Suddenly you have a clear objective, a finish line, and a way to tell who won. That one tiny addition creates the entire framework for a competition.
But, a goal by itself can be pretty boring. You need something in the way, right? That's the challenge. The real sweet spot for any great game is finding a challenge that's tough enough to keep you hooked, but not so ridiculously hard that you just want to throw the controller. It's all about hitting that perfect balance to keep players trying.
And to make sure that challenge is actually fair, you need rules. Think of rules like the guardrails for the game. They create the structure, they make sure everybody's starting from the same place, and they define what you can and, just as importantly, can't do. And trust me, any good designer will tell you, the simpler and clearer the rules, the better.
And the last piece of the puzzle is interactivity. This is where you, the player, actually get to make choices that matter. A really good game lets you interact with everything, the world, other players, maybe even push the limits of the rules a little bit. The more you can do, the more agency you have, the more invested you're going to be. Now here's what's so fascinating. When you put all these pieces together, they create what a lot of designers call a magic circle. It's this self-contained little bubble, this world where the game's rules are the only rules that matter. Think about it, right? In Pictionary, you're not allowed to just say the word. That'd be easy. But inside that magic circle, that rule forces you into this fun, creative challenge of drawing it instead. Okay, so we've got the basic anatomy down. Now let's really open up the designer's secret toolkit and look at the nuts and bolts, the core dynamics and game elements that are the true building blocks of any game out there.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with the core dynamic. This is the single most important action the player has to take to win. It's basically the verb of the game. It answers that one crucial question. So what do I actually do here?
So let's look at a few common ones. Race to the finish. That's a classic, right? You see it in something fast-paced like Mario Kart, but also in a super simple board game like Candyland. Or how about territory acquisition? I mean, that dynamic is the engine behind huge strategy games like Risk and Catan. And then you've got exploration, which is the very soul of massive worlds like Minecraft or The Legend of Zelda.
And it just keeps going. I mean, think about it. You have entire games built around constructing things, like in The Sims, or finding a solution to a complex puzzle, like in The Room. Even a dynamic as simple as matching is what makes games like Spot It or Guess Who so addictive. Okay, so if that core dynamic is the engine of the car, then game elements, well, they're the cool paint job, the spoiler, the high-tech sound system. They're all the features that add those layers of strategy and flavor and immersion that make the ride so much more fun. These elements are what really give a game its unique personality. Competition is pretty straightforward. It pits players against each other. Conflict introduces some kind of obstacle, or maybe a ticking clock to create urgency. And resources, things like money, special items, or information, are what players have to manage to get ahead. These are the things that create those really tough, interesting decisions in a game. All right, enough theory. Let's see how this whole toolkit actually works to solve a real-world problem. We're going to look at a case study I'll call Firearms Inc.
So here's the deal. Firearms Inc. is a big manufacturer, and they need their people to be way better at negotiating. But their current training? It's boring, it's stale, and frankly, it's not working. The challenge is to build a game-based training program that actually gets results.
So where do we even begin? Well, we go right back to that toolkit. We need to connect a core dynamic to our learning goal. For negotiation training, territory acquisition is a perfect fit, and you might ask why. Because it perfectly mimics that real-world feeling of gaining ground or losing ground, which is what a negotiation is all about.
And from that one decision, the rest of the design process just falls into place. It's so clear. Step 1, we've got our core dynamic, territory acquisition. Step 2, let's give it a fun theme, something like negotiation quest. Step 3, we layer on some key elements to make it strategic, conflict, resources, maybe even cooperation. And finally, step 4, we define the win state. Become the wealthiest negotiator by making the smartest deals.
And just like that, we have a fully fleshed out concept. Trade and Thrive, Negotiation Quest. It's an engaging game where players learn real negotiation skills by making deals to develop their land and build their wealth. See, we just used the designer's mindset to turn a really boring training problem into something exciting and actually effective.
Okay, so now it's your turn. We've taken apart this whole designer's mindset. So what's the big takeaway here? How can you actually start using this way of thinking?
Well, here are the key things to remember. Games are just carefully designed systems. That's all. At their very heart, you'll find a core dynamic. That's the main action. And they're brought to life with game elements that add all the strategy and flavor. But the most important thing is this. This framework isn't just for fun and games. It's an incredibly powerful tool for solving all kinds of problems.
Which leaves us with one final, kind of provocative thought. Now that you have this designer's toolkit, you can start to see the world a little differently. So I'll ask you this. What problem, in your work, in your life, anywhere, is just a game that you haven't gotten around to designing yet?